there, beautiful people, lovers of the tarot and all things esoterically occult in nature. Happy new moon to you all, and we have a 3-card reading for this new moon. I just drew these 3 cards. We're going to dive into some of the meanings and the messages that can come from this. I hope it touches you in a great way, and hope you can resonate in some way or another that you can find some meaning for it, because part of this recording and part of the reading itself, this message is about finding that meaning and going a little bit past the duality of the mind. Let's take a look at the first 2 cards, and then we'll go one by one. So we've got these 2 cards came up together. First of all, this was the right way up in as well. Excuse me about that. So this 2 of Swords and this Ace of Wands, we've got a 2 and a 1 here, representing this duality and the unity story. So let's dive into them one by one to begin with, and then we'll read them together and see how the message is developing. The 3rd card, by the way, was this reversed 8 of Cups. So there are the 3 cards. And the reading, we're going to talk a little bit about them. First, let's look at this duality story. So this 2 represents the duality of our mind, and this figure is sitting in a dark moonscape environment, very good for the new moon, this being that crescent moon that is more touching the new moon dynamic than anything else. And here this figure, feminine figure, representing the subconscious, sits in the darker space with the subconscious waters behind, with these 2 swords, and with her arms crossed over her heart like this. And the 2 swords, or the duality of the swords, is something that's really, really quite prominent and strong in our mind, because our mind is always dual. It's always trying to find right and wrong and good and bad. It's always stuck in the judgment story. And so part of the message today is to go a little bit beyond this judgment, about a little bit beyond the way the mind projects and looks at the world. And you know this, we all know this, that our mind loves to find good, bad in everything. And we look at something in the world of which we feel like we have an opinion or an attitude or a way, a perception, a valid perception about, and we'll look at it and go, oh my God, that's the worst in the world, this is the best in the world, this is right, gosh, that's wrong, these people are so, and these people, they're the best in the world. And we have this very dualistic mental way to look at life, to look at ourselves and to judge ourselves, to judge our experiences, to judge what's going on in the outside world. And a lot of this judgmental, right, wrong, dualistic dynamic gets caught up with in one-sidedness, and this one-sidedness creates more division, and it's very divisory in nature to be stuck in the mind this way. And so this card speaks about duality, but it also speaks about finding this connected, unificated way of looking at both sides of the story. And we can't really look at both sides of the story if our focus is always on the outside in the world, if our focus is focused outwardly and in a very actively masculine, also judgmental way. So we have to tap into our feminine subconscious and put the blindfold on to really go inside to see the right in the wrong and the wrong in the right, the good in the bad and the bad in the good, and to recognize that there are always 2 sides of everything. So every experience that we have, we can either see it one way or the other way, and both are valid. Not one is more right than the other, even though we would love to think so. In our heart, we can reconcile these contradictory beliefs that we naturally hold on to. In our hearts, we can see the beauty in something that might normally appear to be ugly, and vice versa. And this ability to connect to life and perception through our hearts transcends the dualistic, divisory nature of our mind and the judgments that come from it. And we get this unity story here coming side by side with this duality story in our mind, because our wand represents this purpose and this meaning and this passion that we have for life. And it's very difficult for our passion to be healthily channeled or healthily experienced if we're stuck in this very divisory, judgmental, one way, one path is right, one story is good, the other is wrong mentality. If we're stuck in that mindset, it's very difficult to touch our heart, it's very difficult to safely channel our fire, and it's very difficult to actually find some meaning that is rich and beautiful for us, that actually holds purpose. So this wand, and it was interesting, I was listening to a podcast today about people finding meaning and giving meaning to life, and this is what we do a lot, and this is what what you're doing now when you're looking at the tarot cards, what I do all the time looking at the tarot cards, is finding meaning for stories in life, for experience in life. In this case, finding meaning for symbols and symbolism that's shared with the beautiful images and the cards in the tarot. It's giving meaning and finding worth to something. Now, this Ace of Wands is a worth and a meaning for us. It's finding meaning for our lives, finding a sense of purpose, and finding a deeper clarity for the sense of purpose for ourselves. And what that also translates in, as far as this gift that's being given, is a deepened awareness of why we're here and who we are and what we're doing. And this is something that seems to be in the air or on offer around this new moon time. And it's a great message to, hey, how can you have a little bit more clarity? How can we all have a little bit more clarity about why we're here and what we're doing? And is that clarity available for us to find? And this reading is saying, yes, it is, but don't get too caught up in the duality of the mind. Don't get too judgmental about your purpose looking exactly like this, because it might not be what you think it is. Don't get too caught up in the way that you think you need to be walking your walk, because there's a new way, or there's a new perspective or perception that is available for you that actually can understand that it's not actually walking path A or path B, but it's walking with love in your heart, which unconventionally might be path C, but it might look like you're walking down the path A, but with love in your heart. It might look like you're walking down path B, but with love in your heart. It's not the path that's important, but what's in your heart that's important. And if you can walk with love, then any path is going to be the best path. And it's that exact example about finding that more authentic way of walking, or that more heart-related purpose that's important. Another few metaphors came up, and let's jump into this last card while we're here, and then we'll jump into a few examples about what this might look like. So this is the card that's saying, hey, careful, and again, we've got this moon figure, there's moons coming up and this new moon all the time, and this is saying, hey, watch out about retreating away from what is important. So there's two stories here. This is what we normally think is quite important. This is the emotional pull of the world that draws us out into the world, that makes us more focused on what life thinks is important, what the world around us is telling us is an emotionally tugging our feelings inside, or our attention. It's calling for our attention non-stop. This external world is saying, hey, me, and me, and me, and me, and me, and me, and me. No, pay attention here. This is what's really important. No. But look, you'll feel really guilty. You better be afraid of this. And there's all these energies of emotional pull in our lives, which will pull us out to distract us from what is really important. There'll be an emotional stimulus in the outside world which will quite often take us away from finding this deeper connection to what is our real path of self-worth and passion that we are looking for. And this this pulling out into the outside world is a challenge for us, because there's not a constant work, but I'd say a valid work to turn our backs on the outside world regularly and to go inside and really check in with the subconscious to make sure that we actually are really connected with ourselves on a more honest level. So let's throw in an example out here what this might look like in our dualistic world, or in a world of experience. Finding meaning for life, finding meaning for ourselves, can be something super mundane and simple, but we need to jump out of the normal way of thinking. So let's one idea popped into my head when I looked at this card is there's two ways of looking at every experience. And when we are looking for what is our path, or what would be our meaning out of every experience, we're going to have a tinted or a colored perception of what that meaning is. So for example, there are two very different people could have an experience, let's say getting a cold or having the flu, and both of these people will get put in bed and being asked to rest for a few more days and just sit down and not be active, and maybe have to ask for help, or maybe just learn to be still for a moment or two. Everybody's had the flu. Everybody's had this flu experience in our life. Now, one of these people got the flu because they have maybe a chronic difficulty in resting and relaxing, and they've told themselves they need to work, and so they work 12 hours a day, and then they'll come home and they'll do this and they'll do that, and they'll go to the gym, and they'll be running around being really doing really good things for themselves, but they're not learning how to sit and be still and be silent, because it's all about doing and doing and doing. But I did this ice bath, and I did this workout, and I had these protein shakes, and I did all of these things. There's a strong masculine doing energy, but there's an unbalanced relationship with the feminine that asks us to nurture ourselves, to be still, to be silent, to go inwards and not be outwardly focused on doing, but to be a little bit more passive and to be receptive and to be nurturing to our own body. And this imbalanced relationship could be part of the meaning and the purpose that life will be asking us. And if we're stuck in a mindset, no, only doing things, we will judge our flu as like, oh, maybe I didn't have enough shakes, maybe I didn't do enough ice baths, or didn't work out enough, maybe I should be doing a little bit more. No, it's not. It's the complete opposite. It's about finding that balance with that duality and recognizing that the mind needs to slow down, our body needs to slow down. Part of the lesson of this flu that's keeping you in bed is you need to stop thinking that you need to do everything all the time. You need to maybe ask somebody else to do things for you. You need to find the humility to ask for help. You need to maybe learn that not just doing is the only way to nurture your body. Doing nothing is also a great way to nurture your body and mind. And the mind doesn't have to be active, trying to find solutions and try to work through this and work through 10, 12, 15 hours a day. No, maybe what the mind needs to do is to rest sometime, and placing yourself in bed and doing nothing is a great way to do this, and distracting yourself from the emotional stimulus from the outside world is going to be a great exercise for you. And part of the message, or part of the purpose and the gift of this experience of illness, is about doing just that. Somebody else might be a little bit apathetic in their life. They might get up a little bit later in their life. They might be, they might have an issue with being motivated, and they might find it really easy to sit down and binge watch 12 series of I don't know what on the telly, and they may find that they indulge themselves in eating a little bit too much of that ice cream and doing a little bit, I don't like going out and doing much exercise, I'll do this, and they'll have a similar unbalanced relationship with the feminine. The one side, the one person had an unbalanced relationship with the feminine. They weren't bringing enough in, and this unbalanced example of the feminine is nurturing your body too much, relaxing, resting, being still, being apathetic, having a non-doing relationship is another form of exaggerated relationship with the passive, with the resting, with the nurturing story. And the flu might come into your body because you weren't exercising enough, maybe. You weren't getting a little bit of energy flowing through your body. You weren't finding that balance in your life. You were maybe stressing out. Your mind might then turn around and go, oh, maybe I should, this is an excuse for me to just sit down and just do nothing. I've got to do nothing. Oh, great, and your mind might say, well, it's great for me to just sit down and do nothing. And maybe for a day or two, that's fine. But part of the lesson, part of the real meaning might be, hey, maybe it's time for you to get up and breathe a little bit stronger, get a little bit aerobic, maybe move your body in a way that you don't normally move your body, maybe exercise, maybe eat a little bit less, maybe, stop, and flu will help you do this sometimes. You will lose your appetite, and you'll eat a little bit less. You might do less, but you'll also eat less, and this might be also a beautiful experience for you. But finding the meaning is about going beyond the duality, not strengthening your belief that, I should just rest more. Now, maybe it's about, like the other guy saying, maybe I should work harder. No. Maybe we can find a little bit of balance. When our body's out of balance, there's a middle path, there's a middle reason, there's a middle purpose, there's a middle balance that you can only find when you go a little bit inside of yourself and ask yourself a question or two about your reality. So this reading is very much about finding this sense of purpose and meaning in life. And that's a very personal thing. And two people can have the same experience, but on opposite reasons for that experience to come apart. One could be, hey, this is stimulating you and asking you to get up and do more. And this is asking you to sit down and do less. And it's the same experience because you're both having an imbalanced experience with one side of the energetic and another side of the energetic, this right, wrong, masculine, feminine, passive, active story. And one of them is asking you to ignore what life, ignore all those emotional stimulants around you and go inside because you've been paying a little bit too much attention to those emotional stimulants, as is the other one in this very similar way, saying, hey, you've been paying attention to a lot of emotional stimulus in that TV program or that, or in the non-doing of your life. It's important for you to go inside and ask yourself, hey, what's really important for me? What is really healing for me? What do I need to do that's transformational, that's beneficial for my life right now? But don't listen to those first answers, because the first answers will come from the duality of the mind. Don't listen to the second answers, because they'll usually come from the duality of the mind. Ask yourself 3 times that same question. What is my truth in this situation? What is the best lesson for me as far as what is taking place right here, right now in my life? What is it that I'm here to understand? I gave you an example of illness, but that's not just the example, the only example that we could jump into. We could jump into 10 different examples. Take a look at the opportunities that life is giving you, the healing opportunities of experience that life is giving you, because you're having them right here, right now. See how your mind judges them about being right or wrong, good or bad. Look at how you're looking and judging the world in that same way. And then go back in and say, hey, Is this really helpful for me to stay in this way of thinking? Is this divisive? Does this create more separation between me and an aspect of the world? Is this healthy? Can I find a way to feel more connected to life, more connected to the world on the outside, more at peace with what is outside of me? Can I find this peace on the inside, and can I bring it out? And if so, is there something that I need to understand about the way I might see the black and white nature of the universe? Is there something that I can find inside of me that understands the beauty of both sides of every story? Throw these questions out there. Ask yourself a few more times than you normally would about transcending that duality and finding this gift of purpose and finding the meaning towards all these little experiences we're having in lives, and even the big ones. Understand that there's more meaning than we would first acknowledge. There's more meaning than we could understand to begin with. There's going to be some transcendental meaning to all of life, but we can find more and more of it the more we ask this question, and the more we're willing to turn this card back around and go inside properly and really, in a healthy way, throw a few internal queries to our subconscious gifted state of wisdom that's waiting for us to touch. Much love to you all. Love to hear your comments. Have a great new moon.